24 became 16, 16 became 8, 8 became 4, 4 became 2, and now 1 is left standing, and that one will challenge Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship on April 8th at Sakura Genesis. So let's talk about the event, shall we? I'm Joe Wrighton with my review, New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Japan Cup 2023, the finals. Certainly was a goddamn hot crowd. Goodness goddamn me, from the very beginning to the very end. This crowd was just up and down, all around. Come on, holy shit. I mean, I'm not even going to do the usual goddamn shtick. That was really goddamn electric. Dun 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 dun. Nevertheless. So, Sonata has won the New Japan Cup after winning in 2019. Let's see if he can actually win this time. Let's see if he can actually beat Kazuchika Okada, because they kind of wrote themselves into a corner here. He decided to leave LIJ, join just 4 guys, now just 5 guys. Some people will have 5 guys in them and aren't able to walk straight for a week. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm not going to digress anymore. But he couldn't beat him in 2019. If he doesn't beat him here, then you have to think that, again, they wrote themselves into a corner here. I'm surprised they didn't go with Finlay. And had Sonata decide to, stick with LIJ and then do the turn maybe afterwards and say, okay, this LIJ thing isn't working, they could have gone with either one. Sonata's got to win, though. Sonata has to goddamn win. But that being said, let's talk about the event. Kevin Kelly, Chris Charlton on commentary. I know it immediately. Boy, this crowd is loud already. Taichi Indoki against Tanahashi and Nakashima with his glorious Chia Pet hair. Seriously, that hair is absolutely astonishing. The match was typical. Nakashima got to show off a bit, even and basically practically yelling to Tanahashi to get tagged back in. Tanahashi got a good pop, though. Tana, I'm sure, is thrilled that cheering crowds are back. And a dangerous backdrop. 1, 2, 3 pins Nakashima. Typical match. Hot crowd helped. Shota Umino and Oiwa taking on Zack Sabre Jr. and Fujita. The usual Zack Sabre Jr. and Shota will be very good at Sakura Genesis. May not be as good as their match during the Cup tournament, mainly because that one had no time limit. For the TV Championship, it's going to have a 15-minute time limit, which means actually they may pack more stuff in and may just tell a better story instead of a longer story. So, Young Lions got to show up, and the Death Rider on Fujita 1, 2, 3. Then Tomatonga, Ishii, and Hanma taking on Kenta, ELP, and Chase. ELP sure seems a lot happier now that David Finlay isn't in any of these tag matches with him. This is going to lead to it. ELP is either going to be kicked out of Bullet Club on April 8th or by Juntaku. They're going to do something soon, because I have a feeling ELP will probably get a pretty sizable run in the G1. At least I hope he does. Ishii deserves better than working with Chase Owens, because Chase maybe can do the moves, but he's not interesting. He's bland. Also, Chase, I'll pretend you said 18, it says 16, but nevertheless, Hanma can't move. CR2 on Hanma, 1, 2, 3. And seems like ELP is for the kids. He's really goddamn thrilled and seems to be slowly, organically turning face because they've bought into him in the last year plus. So, Despy, Narita, and Yano, along with Taguchi, taking on House of Torture. No, just no. The usual House of Torture bullshit. Unfortunately, it was amplified here because they have nobody else, apparently, for the Never Openweight 6-Man Championship division, I guess. Because Suzuki, Despy, and Narita beat House of Torture to become the Never Openweight 6-Man Champions recently. I can't remember exactly when it happened. I think it might have happened in February. Honestly, a lot of these damn events mixed together. So anyway, Big Juice, not Pimp Juice, but Big Pimp Juice, 1, 2, 3 on Taguchi, and there we are. And then they unmasked Despy. They used spray paint on Narita. It's stupid that they're doing it in AEW with the women's trio of Saraya, Defender of Abuserverse, Tony, and Ruby Soho. So now they're going to do it here with an infinitely more annoying group. This is complete shit. Despy gets his mask back on, by the way. We know what Despy looks like, by the way, so I'm a little bit, but whatever. Despy makes a run at Show, but gets laid out again in the entranceway, and this whole thing was agonizing because House of Torture is just goddamn shit. Video message. We get action shots, and I couldn't tell if it was a wolf or a dragon or what. And then I looked at it again, I think it's a dragon. So, a dragon. An American dragon, perhaps. Could we see that? Could Bryan Danielson work in New Japan for a bit? Could he show up at Sakura Genesis because he decided he was going to go home for a while? Honestly, if he works some Japanese dates, he really doesn't need to do anything more in AEW for the time being. He could make his shots, work at Sakura Genesis, work at Dontaku, be part of the G1, because he's going to hang up his boots, at least full-time, pretty soon. I imagine his AEW deal is either a 2-year deal, which would mean it would be up at Double or Nothing 2023 or just around that, or it's a 3-year deal and it's up at Double or Nothing next year. After that great Iron Man match, if it's Bryan Danielson, if it's him able to turn loose and finally work in New Japan at the peak of his goddamn powers, because he's still incredible, please, do it. Do it. Give me Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. at some point. If Shota doesn't beat him for the TV championship, give me Bryan Danielson as the TV champion. And do that stuff, and then have him versus Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door, where Zack gets his win back and just do some stuff. Who do you think it is? Because I really don't know who the hell else it is. I mean, if it's not Bryan Danielson, I think I'll end up being disappointed. But nevertheless, it was a bit weird. A bit weird how they did that. I don't actually know if it was a dragon. Maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. What I wanted to see also was the next match, because it was Naito and Shingo against Hinare and Great Okan. Hype for Shingo versus Hinare. They laid the strikes in on each other, beat each other up. The bicycle kick that Okan hit, and Naito just doing a full-on flip. It's like, okay, he definitely wants to give Okan quite a bit. He does end up eventually hitting a roll-up on Okan, 1, 2, 3, and this is a pretty good match. Pretty well-paced and everything. You know, typical tag match, but well-worked. So, okay, now, I don't think... I'm all for Hinare beating Shingo, but I fear he's not going to, because he's beaten him twice already. At least they made the KOPW a championship instead of a stupid trophy, but nevertheless, it's still kind of a joke title. So, Okada and Bishamon, however the hell you say it, Yoshihashi and Goto taking on Cobb C. Open, as I call them, Jeff Cobb, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis. Crowd was up for Okada, and this is a lot of hype for the upcoming Tag Team Championship match. We're no doubt getting at Sakura Genesis, especially with the finish of this, because they hit Corey Ellis on Yoshihashi. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Run back Okada versus Jeff Cobb at some point, possibly at Dontaku, but Okada has to get through somebody else first and defend his title successfully. Not a bad match, but the main reason that everybody went to this show, or stayed up late for the show, or wanted to tune in for the show on demand like I did because I needed sleep, Lio Rush versus Hiromu Takahashi, Yo in Lio Rush's corner. So Lio Rush is fully formed, Hiromu Takahashi wearing some kind of weird Cthulhu, Kako demon-like thing, whatever the fuck, I don't know what the hell it was, and Lio Rush had half his face painted. It was for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. I'm going to say one thing before I dive into this. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's not quite as much applause as I gave to Ospreay and Omega, but I'm not a big fan of Lio Rush. And I've stated why before. I've always found him annoying. I don't wish ill upon him. And I don't know. I was annoyed by him in WWE. And I appreciate what he can do in the ring, but I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I will say, however, putting that all to the side, this was pretty goddamn good. As far as Lio, just running around doing all this stuff and everything, and trying to get to where he wasn't going to be caught. And then eventually Hiromu caught him, and did some vicious stuff. I mean, I know that this needed to be faster. This wasn't nearly fast enough. That's a joke, by the way, because they went about as fast as they could. Apron bump to Lio, then a second apron bump, and then the barricade crash, a DVD barricade crash. So yeah, Hiromu caught Lio and said, I'm going to just beat the shit out of you. Hiromu was more heelish. Lio gets to diving later on. Gets a stunner snap. I think that was called the Rush Hour. I think that's what they called it. Who do you think you kidnapped? Chelsea Clinton? God, that movie's 20 goddamn years old. Rush Hour 2 came out in 2003, was it? I'm trying to remember, actually. Rush Hour 2 came out. I don't actually remember when it came out. All I know is Chris Tucker made an insane amount of money for those 3 movies. Nevertheless, final hour to the back, but the second one to the front, knees up, and Hiromu takes back over. Hits time bomb, but just a 2 count. The crowd is loving it. They really are. It's like McDonald's. They're loving it. Wait, that was super bad. Nevertheless, big old lariat crash. They hit back up. Spanish fly catch for 2 by Leo. They're roaring now is what I point out. We get counters, victory royal for 2. Yo got up on the apron trying to motivate Leo, not trying to interfere and target Hiromu, but just trying to encourage him. And Leo hit a direct drive. Holy shit. He hit Yo's finish. 1, 2, nope. Final hour. Misses. Actually, I think he just went for a direct drive to the final hour. Now I think about it. A lot of shit happened in this match. 20 minutes, by the way. Near falls aplenty. Lariat, and then a time bomb to 1, 2, 3. Hiromu Takahashi retains. Very good match. Certainly the best I've seen from Lio Rush in quite a while. And I think him and Yo will probably go back to being a tag team. Leo being in the Best of Super Juniors, though, and getting at least to the finals might not be the worst thing in the world. Zack Sabre Jr. shows up and says the next challenger will be the newest member of TMDK, TMZSJ. Who the hell is it? Video package, everything. They show somebody near a ring, whatever, and then out in what looks like stuff from Sydney or Melbourne. I forget what. I go, oh, it's Robbie Eagles. Robbie Eagles, who I've seen twice in person. Got to see him at a local promotion. Hard worker. That was like 4 years ago. Hard worker. Great talent. And got to see him, I believe, as part of the Super J Cup in Tacoma, Washington. Robbie Eagles is great. And he's going to challenge Hiromu? Okay, I'm all for this. Robbie Eagles feels fresh. I believe he's been part of the New Zealand shows that New Japan's been doing, co-promoting with, I want to say, Fale in his dojo. Since I believe Fale has a dojo in Seattle, in New Zealand. So good. I'm all for that. That should be a pretty good match. That's going to happen at Sakura Genesis. And then Sonata and David Finlay had the New Japan Cup final match. So the 4 guys of just 5 guys were in the corner of Sonata, and Gato was in the corner of Finlay. Commentary made sure to note that even though Finlay has been aggressive and has been vicious, Gato has not interfered. None of this cheating has happened. It starts slow. It picks up a little bit later. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. It was decently paced. Throughout, there was a skull end usage, and then he did the swing and everything. We get a spear for 2, we get headbutts, strikes, and then we get a DDT spike 1, 2, 3, and Sonata shockingly wins. And I say shockingly because I just had this weird feeling Finlay might win. Whatever, my bracket was already goddamn toast anyway, so they might as well toast the winner. And I'm happy for Sonata. He calls out Okada. They have a verbal back and forth. Lights out, flashlights out from the phone. See you next time. And that's it. Will Sonata beat Okada at Sakura Genesis? I'm not going to get my hopes up, but Sonata getting a short run might not be the worst thing in the world because Okada's Okada. He could win it back at Dominion, but then that might almost be kind of like what they did with Naito in 2016, if I recall correctly, where he won it at whatever the April event was and then lost it back to Okada a bit later. But at least Sonata could say he was champion, and maybe they could actually do... They wrote themselves into a corner. That being said, it's going to be interesting. And the next review that I do for New Japan will be Sakura Genesis. I don't know if I'm going to review the Capital Collision event or what I'm going to do. And I'm still up in the air about Best of Super Juniors. Just depends, guys, because I got a lot of time tied up in things like work and might have extra work to do this summer. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.